Try to catch me howling at the moon. Try to catch me howling at the moon.
Hi, thank you for joining me today on another episode of Conversations with MaryJane. It is episode 2 of season 2. It is a gloomy Tuesday evening, and I am thankful to be here with you. It has been a month since our first episode dropped of season 2, and so while I don't have a ton of updates, one thing I did want to share was the Q4BL protest for Breonna, the March for Stand for Breonna Taylor. It is on September 19th at 1 o'clock. You can check out all the information on my Instagram to be a part of that. We're looking for volunteers. Our goal is to continue to bring awareness and continue to lift our voice and to say Breonna's name until justice is had for her. In this new segment that I'm going to introduce today, explains a little bit about no-knock warrants, which is kind of a tie-in to Breonna. I hope all of you are having a great 1st of September. I love the 1st of every month. It feels rejuvenating. It feels like I have all this time to get things done. And so I've spent some time planning out the month and really trying to continue to focus where I want my life to lead and where I want my voice to be heard and how I can create a beautiful world. And I realize that's like an ambitious goal, but my idea of a world is my world and everyone who's in it. So how can I create that? If you have been paying any attention to my Instagram, Facebook, podcast, videos, you will have heard me mention a gentleman's name, Michael Thompson. I'm not going to talk so much about what he's going through. You can check that out. Last Prisoner Project or like my Instagram. Like I said, I want to talk more about the effect of learning about Michael Thompson. So I think it was like end of April or the first week of May when I saw a post about him. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like I'm sure some of you have received information in your life that has just really changed you, has made you a completely different person, has made you think about things differently. And that's what learning about Michael Thompson did for me. And it catapulted me into really doing a deeper dive into the war on drugs. And while I thought I understood what was going on, it was only on a superficial level. And it has been very overwhelming and sad as I have continued to learn more. And I've had 3 thoughts pretty consistently as I've learned more. It's been like, what the fuck? Does anyone fucking know about this? And where is my blunt? And those first two questions really display like the lunacy of the war on drugs. Like, for example, do you know how no-knock warrants got started? So a 28-year-old congressional aide came up with this idea that would really show the American public how big and bad and strong and forceful and powerful these agencies were. No-knock warrant. You get to kick down the door. You get to scream as you go in. People are flying everywhere. I mean, that's what they wanted us to envision, is how strong and powerful they were. Nobody, including the police, ever asked for no-knock warrants. One 28-year-old came up with that idea. So that is what this segment of Conversations with MaryJane is all about. It's about you joining me on my journey to understand how we got where we are today with drug policy, why we can't grow this little plant, why it's so stigmatized, why incarceration rates are so large. And because my third question was, where's my blunt? And, you know, I'm a marketer at heart. I had to title it, Where's My Blunt? So welcome to the first episode of Where's My Blunt? Today we do a deep dive into the war on drugs in about 3 minutes as I roll my blunt. So the war on drugs started way before Nixon declared it a war in June 1971. In fact, have you ever thought about why some drugs are more legal than others? I mean, it really has nothing to do with how powerful a drug is, how addictive it is, how destructive it is, and everything to do with who that drug is associated with. In the 1870s, so about 100 years before Nixon, the first anti-opium laws were put into place and were directed at Chinese immigrants. The first cocaine laws were put into place to be directed at Southern Black men. And the first marijuana laws were directed at Mexican immigrants. So this started way before. However, Nixon officially declared it a war on drugs in June 1971 and increased the size and presence of these federal agencies and pushed through measures like mandatory sentencing and no-knock warrants. In 1972, the commission even said they should decriminalize cannabis. Nixon ignored that report and the recommendation. And while every president, in my opinion, has contributed to the war on drugs, it was really Ronald Reagan who had gasoline to the fire. The media also heavily contributed to the drug hysteria, and we'll discuss this much later because even today, what's actually true about drugs and what the public believe are vastly different. And we have the media to blame for that. So soon after Reagan took office, his wife started the Just Say No program. And then in 1983, the DARE program was started. Do you know who started this? LA Police Chief Daryl Gates, who has been quoted as saying and believed that all casual drug users should be taken out and shot. Those are the people who created these programs. The presidency of Ronald Reagan ushered in a decades and decades long era of mass incarceration, starting with 50,000 when he took office, 400,000 by 1997, and 2.2 million today. In the end, top Nixon aide John Ehrlichman later admitted what the war on drugs was all about. And I'm going to quote this because I want to make sure I get this right. You want to know what it was all about? The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and Black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or Black. But by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and Blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the war on drugs? Of course we did. If you didn't think it was intentional, you were wrong. So what can we do to help this, to stop this, to turn it around? One of my most favorite things to do is to roll up a blunt and to use my voice by contacting elected officials. Obviously, you just don't willy-nilly contact someone. You want to have a purpose. You want to know who to contact and what to say. And so organizations like the Drug Policy actually have tools for you to do that. So you can head over to thedrugpolicy.org/action to find out how you can get involved. You can also look in all the show notes and see all the links where I pulled this information from. I also expect you, if I get something wrong, because I do research it, but maybe I didn't research it enough, please call me out in the notes so that we can fix it. The worst thing we can do is continue to spread misinformation. So thank you for being a part of the first episode of Where's My Blunt? Now on to our conversation with Iesha Epps. Iesha shares with us a deeply personal moment that started with her being pulled over by a police officer. I'm so thankful for community members and individuals who take the time to share with us their most personal and private moments involving cannabis and how open and honest they are with us. Thank you. And now on to Iesha. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good morning. Is it morning? Yes. How was meditation this morning?
Meditation was great. I love the place that I go to. It's like a little hidden gem.
Yeah. How often do you meditate?
I try to do it like three times a week, just like on and off, like every other day.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, if you're continuing to do it, you see benefits. What are some of the things you get out of it?
Definitely just like some mental clarity, just because a lot of the time I can have a very racy mind because I'm either trying to please myself, others. So it's like, it's a time where it's just like, you're just listening to waves, which are very calming. You're just listening to nature. So those are some of the benefits that I get from it. Definitely how I organize my day. I mean, I usually can do it on my days off, like during work days, I can't do it as much, but definitely if I have any downtime, I try to meditate. And then of course on Sunday when I go to church.
Yeah. I mean, the location. So the reason I know that you meditate is because you went live this morning and it looked beautiful. How could you not feel so centered and so at peace when that's your surrounding? How long have you been going there?
On and off, probably my whole childhood. I mean, at least to my teens.
Wow.
Because it's like a local park. And I've just, I mean, it's honestly a place where I've always gone to smoke. Because it is like a low key. And anytime I've seen people, there's maybe 5 people all together. And it's just very peaceful. No one's really in because it's social distancing. I can do that and just not have to worry about a mask and just.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, is cannabis part of your meditation?
Oh,
practice?
Most definitely. I didn't know it was for so long. I started maybe calling it meditation too, because I'm doing that at the same time. So, I mean, I'm just, At first I thought I was just when I didn't smoke off of emotions. When I was just if I know I smoke, I'm going to probably get the answer that I'm looking for. And then when I got older, I realized that I was meditating.
Yeah, that's interesting, the answer you're looking for. And in my head, I'd like to know what your opinion is, but in my head, the reason that happens is because my mind's probably a lot like yours, real racy. And, I feel like a lot of people think linearly in a line. And, it's thought A, thought B, thought C, where I think maybe more in a circle and a cloud of chaos. So when I use cannabis, I think all the bullshit goes down and the answer comes up. Yeah. How do you think it's similar for you? Is that why you think that answer comes, or why do you think it comes for you?
It's most definitely. And then also just because I pray and then it comes to.
Yeah. That is meditation's been so key for my anxiety. And man, when my anxiety is getting out of control, it's because I've not meditated enough. I've not taken those moments. And it's one of those things that doesn't take long to feel good. And I think human nature, at least mine, is like, as soon as I feel good, I stop doing the thing that made me feel good because I think I'm better.
Yeah.
And then I'm back like around because maybe that habit's not formed enough yet.
Yeah, it's just like exercising, like, and doing a diet. Like, you're doing it, you're seeing the results, and then you're like, well, I owe myself all of this. And then you start slacking because you got your result. And then you realize you get sick again. It's like, okay, like, I stopped. So I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah. There's this concept, I think Tony Robbins teaches it. It's called constant and never ending improvement. And it's kind of that principle of like, you know, if you're not going forward, you're definitely going backwards. And I think that meditation practice is probably the biggest example of I just do this thing and get better and better at it. I'm not going back mentally. But the minute I stop doing that, it's just kind of like all kinds of disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been looking at different like forms of meditation too. Like, I mean, it was funny some of the stuff I tried. Like, I tried yoga and it's really not my thing. Like, I can't, like, I might fall asleep. Like, I can't get with it. Like, it's not my thing. But just literally going out, being near water and just being soothed by that, that's all I need. Or like actually going and being able to walk where it is a little bit more quiet in nature. Something about me and nature just puts me in line. And then I just hear things and get my clarity and be all good.
I mean, I think everyone's so not right because they stay away from nature. Like,
right.
Like, I mean, I live in Baltimore City, and so I'm surrounded by concrete. My feet very rarely touch dirt. You know, my hands don't touch dirt. Yeah, like, that's just not, it's where we came from, right? Like, we are supposed to be of the earth, and we stay very far away from it. And so, yeah,
I've been looking for it.
Yeah. We went camping for a few days, and it just felt good. And I really thought like we would have cell reception, but we could only get calls. And so for 48 hours, I had like very little cell service unless we went down off the mountain. Man, I felt so good when I got home to just have been in the clean air, surrounded, and technology was gone. Like we just did, I don't know, we just were with ourselves for a change instead of like always being on social media and working.
Yeah, and distractions from like things that are just negative vibes. Like, it's just like a negative energy. It's not like an always positive thing. If things were always showing like positive, we would be, you know, with raindrops and gumdrops. Like, life's not like that. But I mean, you can just remove yourself, and people don't really realize how detrimental or cliche it is to be like, oh, I'm meditating. It's like, I'm removing myself from this garbage. Like, I mean, your meditation could be anything. Like, mine is smoking a joint, or, you know, walking through the park, or going near water. But I mean, if you just got to claim what that is, like some people's meditation, I mean, it might not be ideal for everybody. That's why. That's just art, like being with nature.
You bring up a very good point, because if you put something in a box, it could hinder somebody else from doing it. So like if they think you just have to sit there, and I agree, like I think meditation can be just standing in the woods or standing with your feet on the grass. Like there's a lot of different ways to do it, and you just have to, it's really about what makes you feel centered, right? In the end. Yeah. So it's whatever gets you to that point. That's awesome you started the morning off like that. It was beautiful. It's supposed to rain soon. It looks like so cloudy. So it must have been great to just be out there for a little bit.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Do you remember when we met? Do you like, I was trying to like think of like the exact moment. I feel like I've known you forever. So I've had trouble figuring out the exact location.
It was little sprinkles. So the first little sprinkle, was I want to say it was at Blair's last year, like 4th of July weekend brunch. That was
It's
the first
only
time.
been a year?
Yeah, but then it kept happening over and over again. So that's why
I
it
feel
seems
like I've
like it's
known
so
you
long.
for so much longer.
No, I mean, maybe I creeped on you a little bit before that. Like, we were very creepy to each other on social media. But, like, first meeting physical, I met you that.
Oh, that's cool. And then we just kind of popped up with events along the way.
Yep, absolutely.
So you're in the cannabis industry now.
Mm-hmm.
And where are you working?
I work at a Ritual dispensary. It's a brand new dispensary that opened up in 2020, like during the pandemic.
Yeah, how's that been?
Actually, it's been working really well. It's kind of like the weirdest concept to do curbside and cannabis. Like, I never, like, it was one thing working in the dispensary and just like, I am, giving someone medicine. Like, I had to get over that. To be outside and at a car, giving someone cannabis through a window. Oh, now this is
I feel like I've been here before. When it's done that way.
Yeah, like, I'm like, okay, I'm allowed to do this now. So, I mean, I'm loving it because it is, for some people, because of COVID, I mean, it's the best. We had to do it like that to keep protocol and to be safe.
Yeah, so, I mean, I applaud.
But it was a shocking thing to do.
Did you guys open during COVID or did you have any normal interactions at Ritual? It was always COVID?
It's been started right in COVID. So we've been doing curbside. I mean, we just recently started allowing patients and like social distancing, like people can come in up to like 4 people at a time. But a lot of people still definitely use our curbside. Yeah,
I mean, I feel like that's probably pretty safe for everybody, to do that. What's been like the most eye-opening thing to you since you've been in the cannabis industry?
Eye-opening? I mean, just like, the community, because, and the networking that, I don't know, I've met some really good people I can call my friends now. And like, I be like, sometimes I'm like on edge. I'm like, this is an associate or this is someone just that I know. I don't want to put friend on it, but I can't help it. Like, I have some really good friends that I've met from the cannabis industry and the cannabis community, patients. Like, I just love that. And I mean, cannabis, I mean, even though it's kind of weird, just like when we have our gatherings and, we have to, it's medicine. So we can't do what we were allowed to. So you can't be social and passing joints, but just being around someone and knowing that the edge is taken off and we're not drinking. I've been at events that have been held so beautifully because we're allowed to have our cannabis like we want to, like if we were just at home in our comfortable setting. But now I get to be around people and be social with it. And that's what I love. So the cannabis community, I love.
Yeah, I think it's always been like cannabis brings people together. I think there's power in that puff, puff, pass. A blunt is just as good with one person as with 5 people. I don't know how that's like possible to do that. And I just think when you allow people to be themselves at an event, it's a more beautiful event. I think of how much disconnection cannabis has caused in, I think, everyone's life. Like when I go to maybe a family member's house everyone knows I consume cannabis heavily in the family, but there are some that maybe give like a little more of a side eye. And when I go and do it, I do have that little tinge of like, I don't feel as good. But man, when you go to an event and I met like the first set of girls that smoked blunts, I was over the moon. I was like, what? There are people
big
out here
too.
Yeah, big blunts. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's a community out here that I just didn't even know existed. And I'm like you, I don't ever want to toss around words like friend, but I can't help it because I just feel like I've been looking for this community my entire life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I mean, even just like coworkers who is just like, we're in this together, and I don't know where I'm going with it, but just having a lot of the same, like my job has I'm recently been trying to balance like that work and life and home balance, just because like cannabis is my job and then it's my life. So like it's a real hard thing to balance, because I'm like always talking about it, even when I'm with my friends that, you know, don't consume, and I'm just over here still blabbing like I'm at work. But I don't know, just having when you get to have that connection of talking about just the BS that goes on, because it's not always the best, like you know, we still have, it's an industry. So just being able to talk about it and people can have that same conversation. It's not just the smoking, it's having these political talks and things that like people's rights and how like everything. I like having those very intellectual conversations while smoking a blunt.
Oh, that is, I mean, that's my favorite thing in the world is to smoke and to sit around and talk with people on how to make change. And I think that's been, and I'm not saying like those conversations don't happen amongst people and drinks, and it doesn't happen, you know, a lot of places. But what I do find is even in a party setting, like when we did the launch party for the magazine, that is highly festive, that is meant to be a celebration, you still have those conversations in the majority of people. And they're connecting on, I think, like such a deep level that isn't at a lot of events that I go to, because they're, you know, you are just kind of moving from the next person to the next person. And so I love that, like that maybe it makes you care a little bit more while you're consuming cannabis, like you're more interested in that person. Maybe your ego goes away a little bit, so you're not trying to get your words in. You're like just genuinely trying to connect with that human. God, I miss events. Damn it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm over here like withdrawing from them. Like I just can't wait to meet up with them. Like we've been like, you know, dibbling dabbling, but you know, just the normal way. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, far too long. When I see, I now understand like dogs in a window, how excited they get when they see people, because I'm just like craving that level of interaction with my friends. Like a Zoom call is great and catching up on social media, but it's not the same when we spend a few hours eating Blair's delicious little pancakes.
I know. Finger foods, come on. I waited all my life to be part of like a special club, and it's a cannabis club. Like I was just joking around with somebody, and I'm like, working or being a part of this like cannabis community is better than any like yacht club or fancy country club or anything. Like I feel like I made it.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. Like, I mean,
it's like, you know, you have to have a card to be a part of this.
That's right. You have to roll a blunt. So I wanted to talk about a project you and I were starting before COVID took over our lives. And this happened, so we were at a Spark meeting in February, right?
Mm-hmm.
And David Moon was speaking about expungement and how like I don't know the exact term, but I think he said like lower level cannabis charges can be expunged off of people's records. Mm-hmm. And I was just shocked to know that was a thing. And also he just said people didn't know that. And so you and I just started to chat that day, and you started to tell me your story, and we were going to come up with this great PSA to help with the expungement process, because I think we both were so fired up in that moment to know there are people making millions of dollars, and there are people who can't get a job because they got caught with cannabis a decade ago because they have some kind of charge on their record. And so would you share with us your experience with what happened when you were pulled over by the police?
Yeah. So, it was honestly, it probably happened like several times before like I actually got in trouble. So
Yeah.
just being a teenager, you know, I mean, it's not the best thing to be smoking in a car anyway, but just being like, if you weren't even driving and smoking, just the car smelling like cannabis,
Yeah.
just like some of the hassle that you would be, I mean, go through is just
Yeah.
ridiculous. And it could be, I've been in situations where I wasn't even smoking and you still have to like get treated as if you literally had a kilo in the car. Like they just
Yeah.
treat you as if you're already the criminal. And it just really sucks in those situations. But the time that I got in trouble, it was after a very intense Valentine's Day serving shift. And everybody knows how that is. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we love the money, but it's Valentine's Day. So you're extremely busy, extremely stressed out in your shift. And I think I worked about probably like 10 hours that day. Let's just say.
Wow.
If I worked 8, I don't really remember. So you work that shift. And I mean, the way that I used to relax was to smoke cannabis. So maybe, yeah, my car probably smelled like cannabis. But I'm pretty sure I didn't have any cannabis in my car because I really know that how crazy, like, to get pulled over. Like, I used to drive around really, really afraid of something that, like, now because I have my card, and I mean, my car doesn't smell like cannabis now, but just, you know, I have my tags on my stuff, and I just wish that I would have had something like that back then, because it's not like I was driving around as a person who had a bunch of cannabis. It was just one police officer pulled me over and wanted to be like, your car smells like cannabis. And then, you know, you get that charge, you know, go through the hassle of literally for something that, like, most people can just call their parents and they're like, okay, your kid was doing this. But I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think I was freshly 18 or maybe 19 at the time. I can't remember. They just did the most. And were like, we're going to lock you up and throw away the key almost. But that's what it felt like. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe for, you know, I don't even know. They hyped that I had like a $40 amount of cannabis. And at the time, I mean, I didn't even buy cannabis in that amount. Like, I did it smoking with someone. So it's not like I was buying a bunch of cannabis or anything. And so I get that charge. Long story short, get a charge. And not knowing anything, you don't know. You just want to get your record. Like, you just don't want to go to jail, basically. So you'll probably accept anything. Like, if they just, it could be a plea like a plea. And I'm just like, well, I didn't see them like show me like, hey, you had this cannabis. They were just like, hey, your car smells like cannabis. And they searched my car and said they found it. But like, I swear to God, I didn't smoke. I smoked the cannabis that I had that night. So they didn't say like, is this yours or anything. So next thing you know, they were like, okay, you're getting, you know, locked up, blah, 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 blah. Read me my rights. And I was in the backseat of a car. Literally what happened. So I was going to fight the situation, but like, they tell you if you fight the situation, then you're going to jail if they find you guilty. And I'm just like, well, I mean, I just feel like they just didn't do protocol. Like, I don't know protocol because I don't know my rights about getting pulled over.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, you know, you have this thing on your record and you don't know. You're just trying to pay a lawyer who doesn't really give a hell about you. Just make sure I don't go to jail. So people get, you know, probation before judgment, or you get it on a stat docket, all these things that like still says you have cannabis, like you were involved with cannabis and now that's on your record. They even charge you for the papers, like some papers in your car. They're like, oh, it's paraphernalia, as if you have a bong driving around. Like, it's just the extraness. So long story short, I have that on my record at 19 or 18 years old. And you just, you know, you try to apply for jobs because I'm very articulate. Like, I should be able to go and get a job and you teach me that skill. Like, I can be anything, honestly. That's how my mindset is, if you just teach me. But when you have like those type of like, I don't know the word, when you have that on your record, you get put in a certain palace as soon as they look at your record or your name. They just like, it's just automatically like, no, you're not qualified for the job, which you don't know the situation. So you don't even get called for an interview. So I just feel like, you know, when people don't really know the law, don't know the law, that like they'll accept anything. And I feel like some people, if you pay enough money, you would have just automatically got that wiped off your record right away.
Oh, for sure.
You know, it wouldn't have been on your record. But I didn't have that type of money, let alone that type of lawyer. So I just had that stuff on my record. So I just settled what I thought was restaurant jobs, because you don't have a piss test for a restaurant job, or, you know, they don't say that you're not qualified. So, you know, I'm always the type of person, when I work a job, I'm going to get into management level at some time. Like, not even trying to do the most, but just because that's how I work. Like, I work my way up. So just, you know, but I just knew that the restaurant industry wasn't my calling. I don't know. I just felt it. Like, I didn't want to be a manager or an owner of a restaurant. So when the cannabis industry started, I just started as a patient so I could be safe. And then next thing you know, I'm going to my local dispensary, and then I was able to get a job. And then I was worried about, like, okay, this in the cannabis industry gave me a chance. And now look at me, 2 years later, I've worked at 2 different dispensaries, moved up, but I still have that on my record. And to know that, like, I could have always, the stuff that I'm doing at dispensaries is the same thing I could have done at a government job, most definitely. Like, but those type of people don't give you chances just because you have that on your record. And you don't know, like, they tell you can't get it expunged for 3 years. And then by that time, you're just, like, so hard on yourself. You just keep that stuff on your record. You don't know, like, you have to pay to get that off, or what, I don't know. I mean, unless you, like, I guess you have to research. I mean, it could have been my own fault, but it's just crazy that, like, so many people, you get a good job and you just keep that on your record just because you're finally where you're at. But then it's just like, when you want to get to the next level or something later down the road, it could be housing. But, like, now you make the money, you can afford to get something, but now you have this on your record from something you when you were 19. So it still bites you in the ass. Like, you can get a good job eventually, but then it bites you somewhere else. And it's just like, dang, now I have to do this just for something when I was 19. So that's my situation. I don't know if that was, like, dragged out.
Oh, no, not at all. There's, like, a lot to talk about. And I think I'm about to sneeze, number one. So I'm just trying to time the microphone so I don't blow your eardrums out. But, you know, I think one of the things that you said was, like, that hit me was, like, you carry this on your record. You've beat yourself up about it, you know, and then you said maybe it's your fault that you left it on there. And I mean, I don't think that's the case. I think and I'm not an expert, but I have been trying very hard to learn quickly about the justice system, especially in regards to cannabis and how unfair it is. And that's not the case. It's not your fault. It's been built so you don't.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying.
So the information's there. So this is why I think I know it's not your fault. So I wanted to create this video with you. I couldn't get one straight answer. What I said to them was, like, they said, here's the website. Read all about how to get this expunged. Perfect. I go to the website. I'm not the smartest human in the world, but I can read. And I was just like, this makes no, like, sense to me. So I reply back, do you have, like, a 5-step, like, go here, do this, fill out this form, and then this? Nothing. Mm-hmm. And I tried to, like, make that up, and then COVID happened. But I don't know. And from what I understand, it's not the most expensive thing in the world. But it's expensive when you have to travel there, if you have to do it on your own versus an expungement clinic. I mean, there's all these things that are just barriers to someone who already spent probably a lot of money in court. for them to now do this. And then just the mental exhaustion. I mean, I understand that there's things I should literally be making a doctor's appointment right now to have something checked out. I've been saying it every day, but I don't do it. So why would this circumstance that you're in be any different? Because it's, so it's, it's not your fault. It was designed so you wouldn't do that. And I'm thankful that the cannabis industry gave you a chance, but it shouldn't even be a chance. You should be allowed to work in this.
That's definitely how I feel too. But I mean, because I'm a grateful person, that's how I look at it. Like I just got a chance. Like I was in my local town dispensary, and I started going there all the time. And then they were just like, would you like to work here? And I was just, they asked other questions, just like how you carry yourself. And I was just like, if I just went on a few of those interviews that I feel like I could have got those jobs in the past, people can overlook, what something says on paper, because I don't know, that's just what that human interaction, someone can be like, oh, this person will work well here. Like you can do that. You can feel that that's what an interview kind of is for. You can look really good on paper and then meet up and then be a whole Ted Bundy and be creepy. You know what I'm saying? So, so it's just like I never got the opportunity to even be on these type of interviews because of my record, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We do have to work on getting that expunged for you. And I still want to do that video because I do, as soon as we can, because I do think there's some points that you make that you can help address that as well. Like maybe that mental exhaustion as to why you do just leave it there, or maybe some of the the statements you said about it being your fault, and help, because that's what, we can get it expunged. But the mental strain that's caused and the jobs you've not gotten. Any job that didn't go the way that it was supposed to, or I didn't get, had a mental effect on me and on my self-esteem.
And
so we have to fix that.
Yeah,
we totally have to fix that part of it too. It just can't be like, okay, now it's not a big deal. Like practices on both ends have to change. Like hiring has to look past that stuff so you can meet the person. And then we need to make sure that the community knows we can get those cannabis charges removed. Yeah.
Cause it's kind of hard to people, honestly, you can work in the cannabis industry and have a low level, just something small on your record with cannabis. But there's people it's way bigger than me, but the people who, I don't know when that's going to change, but the people who have felonies for selling cannabis and now they can't even be a part of it. That sucks. That's, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't even a person selling cannabis. What about the people who were doing what the people are allowed to do right now, but they can't be a part of it, or they can't put their money into it because they have a felony for doing what someone's allowed to do right now?
Do you know what I heard was and I cannot remember who said it, was but that's okay because that's why we have the ancillary side of the cannabis industry. And I'm like, excuse me? They're like, yeah, that's for people who had, and I can't remember, I think it was Elena Dorsey who taught me this term, legacy market, and anyone who has ever been charged with anything. That's where they belong, is on that side of it. And I'm like, that is completely incorrect.
No,
they belong to hold the licenses.
Yeah. People don't want to just be doing the low level stuff when they've done it for so many years already, and they can have a whole, I don't know what's the word, team and production and do it the correct way. Why do people have to still be held to, what they don't want to do? If people were growing cannabis and then they get in trouble, go to jail, and then now they can't even go and grow cannabis now. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it is. I mean, anybody who is in jail for, either a victimless or nonviolent cannabis charge should be, especially now with COVID, let out. But that's how prison's a money-making system, right? Because you can't let them out because you're going to lose the dollars that go to those corporations that run those prisons.
Mm-hmm.
So they just let them sit there for something. So, I mean, cannabis has been completely weaponized against the Black community. Like, and I've said it a million times. Like, I walk down Baltimore streets and have walked past cops smoking blunts, all 420 geared out. No one says anything to me.
Yeah.
It's just...
Oh, but I couldn't even do that. I'd be terrified. I mean,
you
now,
would. I know that. That's what I'm saying. Like, they sit in prison while I have my, like, skin tone that allows me to do what I want. And if I, like, I can do whatever I want with cannabis because it's not seen the same way as it is if you did it. And it's literally I get so upset. I don't know what to say.
I've been at events and, like, I'm a chill person, really. But, like, I don't like being around cops. I don't even like being around security guards, but let alone I don't like being around cops. And it's just, like, there were times where I was at, like, events and I know that, like, I'm just having cannabis gear on. Like, I don't even have the weed or nothing. But just, I didn't used to even show that I was a cannabis user because it's just, like, you don't want to have, like, a weed sticker on your bumper sticker because you don't want to get pulled over by the police. Like, I definitely wasn't going out wearing a weed sweatshirt. And then, like, I was at an event and I was just like, the cops are just going to be like, where's the weed at any moment? Because I have this sweatshirt on that has all this weed over it. And I was, like, almost having a panic attack because I just don't like to be around the cops and weed at the same time, where it's just like, I mean, there's going to be times where events are going to happen when our state becomes recreational and we can have that. And I'm just like, I don't know why I used to be so afraid. Just like,
well, because you got arrested.
Yeah, that too.
I mean,
yeah, definitely.
that I'm sure. And I mean, I think you've seen what happens when people of color have weed. Mm-hmm. I would be afraid too.
And I've been in the same situation where weed has been involved and been with white people. And it's just like, they don't find it or, we're allowed to go. But it's just extra when I was all by myself. And I was like, that's even before I think I had an iPhone. So, like, now when I get pulled over, I'm on the phone with someone on a video. And it might piss off cops, but that's what I do every single time. Like, I'm on the phone, maybe not always on video, but I'm always on the phone. Like, hey, I'm going to be getting pulled over. Like, just stay on the phone with me while I'm getting pulled over. Please just stay on the phone because, like, I don't want them to do any extra shit or anything. Just stay on the phone. And then, like, sometimes they're like, why are you on the phone? I'm like, I just feel more comfortable with the phone being on. And, like, sometimes they get irritated and it pisses them off. And I'm like, you don't know how scared I am, so I don't know why you pissed off over here. But that's what I got to do. And it's so scary all the time. Like, I mean, in Baltimore, I'm not as afraid. But where I'm from, oh, yeah, definitely. If I get pulled over by somebody in Charles County, definitely. Oh. Mom, I'm getting pulled over. Can you stay on the phone? She'd be like, right, baby, I'll be right on the phone. Because they already know.
Well, and you smell, like, you don't have to consume cannabis at all for you to smell like it. Like, if you work in a dispensary, you have medicine in the car, you have all of these things. And so, although in Maryland, they can't pull you over for the suspected smell, I don't give a fuck. They're going to figure some other way around that because of that. And so I just, I didn't start consuming weed till much later on in life, like not that long ago in the grand scheme of my life. And I didn't know that aspect of it because I was never around cannabis, you know, I didn't know that part of it. And I've been the blatant, like the treatment I get over other, I'm just shocked by it. And I'm like, wow, it is.
Baltimore's definitely different too. Like they're
Yeah.
just like, I mean, they do have bigger issues. Like they really aren't as worried about the cannabis. So it's
That
not
is
just
true.
you. But
Yeah.
I mean, little black boys, they still be getting harassed over it. You know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying? Like, definitely.
I
Because
don't tell this story publicly, but I mean, I've been in an instance where I've been pulled over. I should have been arrested, and I wasn't. I wasn't even given a ticket.
Yeah,
And
I know.
so, I mean, and I don't even know how he didn't, because I was so shocked. I was like, wait, you're not, what? What? Like,
Oh yeah, you're not the only one. I've heard this story before. That's
I
why
was
I
like,
get
you're
pissed
not
off.
going to arrest me? Like, I'm dumbfounded. I like that set me straight. Like, one and done kind of time. But I was like, oh, this is for real, because I have 15 of my friends who've been dragged out of their car
Oh yeah.
for
Oh,
the very same thing.
Oh yeah. They just like degrade you as a human just because they say it's suspected weed, and like you just get treated like you had a dead body in the car. Like, and they already knew you had it. Like that's how you get treated over the cannabis, and they be looking for the cannabis. And then what pisses them off is when they're really, really looking and they really can't find nothing. So like now they're just like wanting to almost like get you for anything, like not even what they pulled you over for, like just nothing. Like nothing even matters. You just be like, why'd you just do all that? Like for real, why? And I've been in situations where I know I don't even talk back because I'm afraid. Like I shouldn't be so afraid of somebody who is supposed to be looking out for us. But when you get pulled over and you're afraid of the cops, I'm literally like hands on the, like clenching. And then, you know, one time he was like, why are you clenching the wheel? I said, because I'm afraid of you. Like, what the fuck? Oops, sorry. Didn't.
Oh, you're fine. You can cuss. Say fuck again. Whatever.
Yeah. I was like, because I'm afraid of you. Like, he was like, what do you have a reason to be afraid? I'm like, don't try to degrade me now, dog. I'm just saying I'm afraid. Like, I don't know. Like, for real, I probably shouldn't have told you I'm afraid, but I'm just afraid of you. Like, you're the cops. Like, I'm a black woman. And then they like try to like, oh, well, what do you have to? I'm like, dog, we're not even about to do this. But I don't talk that way. I'm just like, I'm just literally afraid. I just don't like getting pulled over, sir. I'm being extra. But then because I'm so hyped and a hyped individual, they're like, oh, why are you acting like that? I'm like, because I'm afraid. Like,
I mean, why do they think you are going to be calm in a situation that's high stress? Like, they don't remain calm in this situation, and they've been trained to remain calm. So you just have you or me behind a steering wheel, and you come pulling up with things on your body that can kill you. Let me remain calm.
Yep.
I don't understand that. I mean, my mind has a hard time wrapping around beliefs and things that I don't understand. Like, it doesn't make sense to me why they wouldn't know people would be afraid of them.
Yeah, and then the messed up part about it is, for me, I guess I wouldn't seem like, as a person, because how I carry myself, I wouldn't be in those circumstances. Like, Iesha doesn't go through that. And I can say my white friends probably think that, but I go through that shit. I don't have to have that look of what somebody think is ghetto or somebody who would be in that type of, no, they treat all of us the same. Everybody. It don't matter. If it does not matter. I don't have to, oh, Iesha, you don't go through that. What the fuck? I don't know why you think that I don't go through that. I actually do. I just try to handle my situation. It's not something to brag about. Like, it's not something to talk about when you get to work. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dang, you keep that to yourself, or you talk to your mom about it. Like, it's not. And we go through it all the time. Like, I would be so afraid to have a son. If I ever have a son, I don't want him to drive. I don't want him to be behind the wheel. That puts fear on you. And we shouldn't have that type of fear. I don't even have kids. And I wouldn't want a son to be behind the wheel, because he's going to be black behind that wheel. Hopefully by then, whenever I have kids, maybe we can have hope, but I don't know.
I mean, I do feel, and maybe you can share your feelings on it. I feel like we are in a special moment in time. Like we have some momentum. We just have to keep pushing for, we can't let it die down. Do you feel kind of the same?
Yeah, most definitely. I definitely feel that way. And sometimes people, people are only looking at it as just like, we have to be, because like I'm raised to be forgiving, and I understand that. I forgive for what, all those years for what has happened. I get it. I got that. And so people want you to be like, all right, well, we're trying to change. It's like, stop talking about it. And it's just like, well, when we do that, then that's when another person gets shot. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's not like, some people seems like, when you keep saying something, it's like, now you're nagging. It's like, I guess if it has to sound like nagging to you for you to get the picture to change, I'll just be like a nagging ass wife about the situation. Like, change needs to happen.
It's hard to believe someone saying they're trying to change and then the same sentence say, but let's stop talking about it.
Yeah. I'm tired of hearing about it. Like, why are you tired of hearing about something that you actually didn't even have no education on? Now you're bringing it to light. You should be like, oh, I want to know more. Like, I want to know more. I want to know more. Because when I get educated about something, I want to know more about it. I don't want to be like, I'm tired of hearing about it. I want to know some more. Like, oh, shit.
I would imagine they don't want to learn more because they're learning more about themselves in a way that they're probably not okay with.
Most definitely.
Yeah. But you have to do that work. Like, well, and not speaking to you, speaking to everyone of my fucking skin color. That's our job, is to not be wary and to do everything we can to learn every part of history and like understand and not rely on anyone of your skin color to educate us. There's enough stuff out there, and we can.
Please don't rely on me.
Huh?
I said, please don't rely on me, because I just mean like too, for real. Like I'm learning, like I'm taking the time. Like I'm not like going to my grandma and be like, teach me more. Like I'm just taking the time out to teach myself. Like anything else you are passionate about and you want to know about, it is out there. It is out there for you to know. So for you to come and think that like doing something for me either, like, I mean, I would like for people, like honestly, low key, like people have been giving me special treatment, like to let me know that they're down, but I don't need that. Because like I need it to be like a change bigger than me. Like you can be nice to me. You should be nice to me regardless because I'm nice to you. You don't gotta do the extra. We gotta do more. We just gotta do more.
Yeah, email your congressman.
It's been low key kind of funny, and I'm just like,
I've seen some posts in some groups that they're like, I'm not gonna lie, when I see a white person walk towards me, I know immediately that it's gonna be, hi, how are you? Like just very overly.
I'm like, okay, is this okay?
I'm like, we should all probably greet each other with.
But I do that regardless.
Yeah.
I do that regardless, and people would just be thinking I'm doing extra. So now that it's just funny, people are doing extra. I'm like, oh, you should have been doing that.
We all could be a little extra. We need a little bit of that.
We need extra. That's just, why we're going to be gloomy.
Well, I think that's where we got in trouble. I mean, I'm not saying we can boil this down to one thing, but we don't like difference. Like that's kind of what like maybe the country's been bought around. Like, you want everyone to kind of act the same and have the same thoughts, and you get very like homogeneous. Is that the right word? Where everyone just kind of thinks the same, talks the same, looks the same. That's boring as hell. Like you want every single person to be who they are, because that's when it's like beautiful. That's when like, if it was just an orchestra of flutes, that's not pretty. But man, when you have every instrument, that's how we make beautiful music.
Absolutely. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, we can do this. So answer this question. So, I mean, it's been world changing the last couple of months, and the world's going to continue to change moment by moment.
Mm-hmm.
What has been like a silver lining moment for you over these past couple of months? So, you know, just something that maybe you discovered about yourself, maybe something that, like, yeah, and I'll share mine so that you can have a moment to think, because I didn't
Okay.
send you this question.
Okay.
So I think for me, the biggest thing was understanding of what I'm supposed to do and what my passion is. I tend to be more anxious in life when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm just filled with anxiety. And I think my last few years have been soaked with anxiety because I've not been doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing. And I think that has allowed me this time during COVID to get very close to our homeless organization and the individuals that we serve. And, you know, the only time I don't feel anxiety is when I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that's where my heart and soul has been since 12 years old. And I think if we look at life, if we all took a moment and we said, what did we love at 12? We may find what we love today. So that's been like my big silver lining moment, has been like, that's my calling. That's where I want to be, is with the very best people in the world that I know. So what has yours been?
Dang, yours was good.
Well, thanks.
My silver lining is that, like, that I just gotta have confidence in myself, and then, like, if I just act like it's not acting, but just showing that confidence, just you get the results. Like, I guess a lot of times people are just fearful, so you just don't do or get past that hump because the fear is just so overwhelming. And when you just do it with the fear still there, because like a lot of people just don't do it. So if you just do it with the fear, and then you get a result, and then like most of the time it works in your favor, because all it was is just like a fear that was put there by somebody else or something like that. I've been doing stuff with the fear and having the best results because I was meant to do stuff. So I don't know what that is called. Just having more confidence in myself, and being able to, like, my standards aren't that high. And if people don't meet what my standards that I've put them at, then so be it. Like, I don't need to keep changing my standards. So I like where I don't have super high standards or what people considered, but I do have these standards. And if people, you know, who succeed, they put standards on and boundaries. I guess boundaries. I'm starting to have boundaries, and my boundaries aren't worth being, you know, like, not accepted. Like, if I put a boundary and you have a problem with it, and so be it. But and if that person doesn't want to be in your life, or if it doesn't work out, I'm okay with that. Because, like, usually a lot of the times that, like, I won't put the boundaries because I'm scared of what that person's going to feel, and then it doesn't work in your favor. So just being able to work through fear, and just like, it's either going to go bad or go good. And then if it goes bad, you learn from it, and then you just do something about it. Like, it can't always work in your favor anyway. So it's just like, I used to be very fearful of just stepping out. Even if people have literally told me I should be doing this, you should do that, or try, or whatever, you know, I've been fearful. I'll put a fear that, like, just on myself instead of just going with the fear and doing it. Because, if you're having fear about it, it might be something right. I don't know.
I just want to, like, I'm shaking my head because you hit it. If you're afraid, you should do it.
Mm-hmm. Like, there's a reason.
Yeah. When you accomplish something that you went into with fear, What's it feel like at the end?
Victory.
Yeah.
And that's that's what we're looking for anyway. And it's just so crazy that we get stuck with the fear. Like, it's just so crazy how fear can stop you, make you like stagnant in life because of a little bit of fear instead of going with the fear and like just like feeling it. Like, that's why some people do drugs, because they don't want to feel, that fear of not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They don't even want to feel that. So it's just like, why don't you just feel the fear, feel uncomfortable, feel real uncomfortable, and just get through it.
To learn to live in discomfort is probably what everyone's is doing right now. Everyone's been real comfortable in life, but it is one of the best things because it's like muscle growth. It's what my physical therapist has taught me. Pain is not the same as discomfort. Discomfort and uncomfortable we work through because that leads to strength.
Yes.
Pain's different. But man, when you're uncomfortable, you just keep pushing because that's how you build that muscle up so that you do that. I can even across Zoom, I can feel your passion. You have something brewing inside of you and I don't know what is going to come out of it, but I'm excited to watch that. And I think you, like I said, we're going to do this. We're going to figure out how to do this PSA and we're going to get these 5 steps out. I just met a gentleman yesterday who just went through the process who may be able to help us do this because I think we don't need to be afraid as a community to take back what the community is and to really focus on the people who did this, who are sitting in jail, who have convictions, who are allowing them not to be a part of this industry. That's what I feel like a big focus of mine wants to be, is to draw attention to that.
Yeah. Oh, shit, my phone's dying.
Oh, no worries. We'll wrap it up.